have. I mean, that's legally required of a seller.
Absolutely.
Anyone
Yep.
who sells real estate has to have a seller's disclosure form.
Correct.
Now, if you have someone counseling at you on what that is and how that works, it's important because if you can get yourself in trouble in the future.
Right.
If
Absolutely.
you don't, I remember back to one deal I had years ago, where there's a question on there: does the property flood?
Yeah.
And
there
they
was-
said,
there was two different answers. One place that said yes, and one place that said no.
Oh.
and when they said no, they weren't thinking about the space behind the garage in the yard, which every spring had a huge collection. But so the buyer came back later and said, "Wait a second, my seller's disclosure says no, it doesn't flood. I walked behind the garage in the spring, and there's a big puddle over there where it's sitting for weeks at a time." And so they came back looking for, so it matters.
Absolutely,
It
yeah.
matters,
Yeah.
these forms and how you fill them out. There's
Absolutely. You
also
have to be 100% honest when you're filling these forms
100%.
Yeah.
Boy, do you need to be.
out.
And,
Absolutely.
yeah. And then there's also lead-based paint disclosure,
Yes.
depending on the year that the house was built.
Yeah, if you have an early built home, pre-60s.
In fact, anything 78 or older.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
So if it's not a new construction home, odds are you probably do have a lead-based paint somewhere underneath there, unless the walls were sanded down to bare at some point.
Which doesn't ever happen.
It doesn't ever happen. No, there's
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so even if you have 79 or newer,
Yep.
you still have to have documentation that it's
Absolutely.
79 or newer.
Right.
You're so there's just stuff to know. Thinking of things to know. Even getting your house ready to sell. We could be some help there and to think about.